normally am. Hey, what up, masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery. Today we are with Mr. Glenn Lundy himself. What's up, Glenn?
What up? What up? What up? What up?
What up? What up?
Stoked to
What
be
up?
here, bro. What we talking about today?
Talking about you, man.
We don't need to
Your
talk about me.
favorite topic, bro. It's
No,
always our
don't.
favorite topic, right? Yeah, we're talking about success, man. Action. I want to talk about action today. That's continue the conversation from this morning that we were having. And right now you're out in Arizona. For people that
Yeah.
don't know you though, I mean, this is a podcast right now. We're streaming, but I just want to a little bit about you. Grab your bio. I had it up here earlier, and all right, here we go. Yes, Glenn, husband to one, father to eight, host of the wildly popular Facebook Live Rise and Grind, top clubhouse group, Breakfast with Champions, which is where I met you, Glenn. He's been at places like Hustle and Grind Con, Grow Your Business, For God's Sake, many other stages across the country. Glenn's been spotlighted on ABC, NBC, CBS, and is an expert in dealership culture and development. With 20 years experience in the auto industry, Glenn had led a dealership from 120 cars a month to an 800%. Think about that, 800% increase in 5 years, becoming the second largest car franchise in the country. His unique style makes him one of the most coveted. I don't even know that word, man. Coveted GMs in the business. Glenn has the unique ability to help identify the areas of growth in your store and teach creative ways to invoke your dealership spirit. With a background in sales and finance, he uses his skill sets to create growth, as well as tapping into the mental side of human development, which is what I want to talk a little bit about today, Glenn. So appreciate you being here again, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Great to be here for sure, for sure. Let's talk
Yeah,
about it. Let's talk about it.
yeah, man. You did how many episodes have you did something? You did your show. You did a thousand. You're over 1,000 now. Where are
Yeah,
you?
we've
You
done 1,043 episodes
a
of
thousand
my
forty
show
three.
as of this morning. 1,043.
All right, and you did a thousand straight. You built it. Did you? Was that was going before Clubhouse though, right?
Oh yeah. Since January of 2018.
Okay, and you started something really big on Clubhouse, man, with the Breakfast with Champions. Tell us a little bit about that. Why did you start that, and what was that like for you to have built something like it has 140,000 members right now? I mean, it's
No, I
just
mean it's 166,000, but who's
there you
counting,
go.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean who's
short
counting? But
changing you, man.
but ultimately, I've been doing daily morning shows for over 4 years now, 4.5 years, and originally it was just a show that went on Facebook Live every day, and then it went from just Facebook Live to a podcast, and then Clubhouse came out, and when Clubhouse came out, it was another avenue to be able to take the show and stream it that way. And now the show's on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and Clubhouse and podcast and all the places. And what was cool about Clubhouse is it allowed us to take what was just a one-man show for all those years and be able to add some more layers. And so Breakfast with Champions became, my show, plus we were able to do shows like You've Got a Show on there, and Brian Benstock's got a show on there. Barbara Majeski's got a show on there. And so we were able to, Breakfast with Champions, we were able to create a network, like a television network, but audio only, where all these other amazing superhumans were able to bring their shows to expand what we were doing. So I do a 30-minute show every day, but now with Breakfast with Champions, there's 8 hours of programming every day. So we were able to more than 10x what I was able to do by myself by collectively networking with others like yourself to be able to create a network and really expand our reach and impact.
Mm. And just so my listeners know, normally I'm like over the top. I'm in the Wegmans cafe today, and there's people all around, so I'm taking it a little easy. So that's why I might be talking on the lower side. So, but Glenn, tell me why. What do you think it is about Breakfast with Champions that attracted so many people to it, and helped it grow and made it grow so much the way it did?
Well, it's basically just a safe place. It's a safe place on the internet, which there's very few safe places on the internet, right? So every single minute that you're in a Breakfast with Champions room, it's a safe place. You know that there's going to be motivation, education, inspiration, celebrity interviews, and thought-provoking conversations. There's not anything else that's going to happen in there. We're not going to get. There's not going to be politics. There's not going to be division. Nobody's going to be cussing each other or mother effing or any of those things. That isn't going to happen. There's not going to be hate. We don't care what you believe. We don't care what you look like. We don't care about your financial status. Black, brown, white, green, purple, alien, a believer, non-believer, any of those things. Breakfast with Champions, we've been able to create a seat at the table for any and all, right? And any and all. And so it's always been a mission of mine. And I think it's really important in today's day and age that we create at least, a safe space on the internet. Because for the most part, when you go on the internet, it's going to be violence, division, hatred, bigotry, politics, all the BS. And so we're the polar opposite of everything else out there in the internet space. And so I think people found it refreshing to be able to pop into there and feel like they belong and feel like that they are a part of something bigger than just themselves. And that even though we don't all think the same, we all share one heartbeat. And I think that's really what's helped it propel and grow to the level that it's at now.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you've created a community, is what you've done. You really did. You created community, and Jarek Robbins was on with me yesterday, and we were talking about community and how important community is, especially in times like this. How it's important to have that tribe behind you and have people that you can count on. So why? And I know your story. I don't know if you want to get into your story. I mean, you're pretty vocal about your story, right? You were homeless.
Oh, yeah.
How long ago was that, man?
When I was homeless, that
Yeah.
was, I'm getting old now. So that was, 15, 16 years ago?
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So 16 years ago, you were homeless. You were on a beach. You've shared your story. I
Yeah.
remember your story, and now here you are, you completely turned your life around. So talk about the getting the seat at the table, which you say every morning when you introduce yourself. Why is that seat at the table so important, Glenn?
Yeah, it's just important, man. When I went through that season of like homelessness and depression, suicidal thoughts, all of those things, and actually attempted to take my own life back then, the main thing that was missing for me is I felt invisible, right?
Mm.
I felt like, when I was homeless, people would look above me, below me, to the left of me, to the right of me. They would never make eye contact with me. And and so I just remember thinking as I would walk by these huge, magnificent, beautiful homes on Mission Beach in San Diego, and I would see all these people in relationships and families and smiles and people holding hands and rollerblading on the little boardwalk and all of this stuff, right? People living this amazing life. I just would like, I was like, how do I get a seat at that table? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
what are these people doing that I'm not? Why is my life keeps ending up, shit, whereas here these people are, they get to live in this beautiful space. And so that was always a question for me, is how do I get a seat at the table? And now that I have a seat at the table and I'm surrounded by amazing people that have reached massive levels of success, and I've been able to gain a little bit of success myself. Now that I'm at that level, it's important to me that I reach back and create a space where now people like me can now come get a seat at the table. They don't have to, I didn't have that. I didn't have a room that I could go into every day for 8 hours a day and connect with David Hills and all these amazing people. Like, I didn't have none of that, man.
Mm.
And so now that we're able to offer that, it's just really important to me. It's just really important to me that everyone get access to information. Now, whether or not they do something with it, it's up to them. right? Whether they actually take action on it, I can't control that, right? But I just think it's crazy how much we don't know. And so it's important to me that we offer people a seat at the table so they can at least consume the information and then ultimately determine whether it's something they want to take action on in their own lives.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Let me ask you this. When you're in a situation you were in 16 years ago, what was it that got you to break out of that? Was it somebody else coming and helping you? Was it you just
I
deciding
almost freaking, I
I'm
almost
going to
freaking hit
take
my head.
action?
I almost
Well, tell
freaking.
how to tell us how does that look like? Because does somebody have to literally go try to commit suicide first, or is there like
Hey, my hope is that no, my hope is that it doesn't have to hit rock bottom. That everybody didn't have to hit rock bottom like I did. That's my hope. But I'm a pretty stubborn, hard-headed freaking guy myself, and so it took hitting rock bottom and then ultimately failing at taking my own life. That was like kind of the last failure for me, right? And that's what it took. And I don't know other people's path. I don't know other people's journey. I hope my kids don't have to fall as low as I had to fall, but if they
amen?
do, they do. If they do, they do. But ultimately, for me, it was an awakening, and it was a realization that I was responsible for the results in my life. And up till that point, I really had a victim mentality. It was everybody else's fault, right? It was everybody else's fault I didn't get the promotion. It was everybody else's fault I didn't have any money. It was everybody else's fault my relationships fell apart. It was always my girlfriend's fault. It was my ex-girlfriend's fault. It was my mom's fault. It was my dad's fault. It was my upbringing's fault. It was my genetics fault. It was whatever. I always had someone to blame for everything in my life. And when I went out there and failed at taking my own life, immediately after, call it God, call it the universe, call it the subconscious, call it whatever you want. But I heard these words loud and clear as I lay there on the beach. And the words that I heard were, you take yourself wherever you go. You take yourself wherever you go. And I started to think about that. I thought, oh my gosh, I've been in different cities. I've been in different clubs. I've been around different friend circles. I've had all these different jobs, but yet the results keep ending up the same. So what was the one constant in everything? The one constant was me. You take yourself wherever you go. And so then I started to look at it and go, okay, wait a minute. So I've actually created all this negative crap in my life. And then that led me to the next question, which was, if I am able to create all this negative stuff in my life, does that mean I have the ability to create positive things in my life? And as soon as I asked that question, then I started to explore, right? Where does this power come from? Why does David Hill and Glenn Lundy have the power to create negative or positive in their life? Why? And once I asked that question, then I had to start discovering who I was. And in order to discover who I was, I had to do some research on, I had to go back in time, right? And I started to study humanity, which led me to studies of philosophy and religion and spirituality. And, ultimately I studied, Buddhism and Catholicism and Scientology. And I started studying all these things because I was trying to figure out, where does this power come from to be able to create positive or negative in our lives? And then ultimately for me, I found my connection to the spiritual side of myself through the story of Jesus Christ. And so now, knowing whose I am with my belief system, I know where this ability to come to create positive or negative comes from, right? It comes from our Father, our spiritual Father. We were gifted in our DNA. We were gifted the ability to create. So then, dude, I just ask questions, David. Like, as I start learning stuff, I'm like, okay, well, if I have the power to create, how do I activate that? Like, how do I use it more? How do I turn it? And then that leads me to reading things like Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. Like, you start going into this whole world of self-development, right? You start reading the Napoleon Hills. You start reading the John Maxwell's and all these things because you want to figure out, how do I activate this tool I got? I got this tool of creation. Now, how do I use it? Right? Because I want to create good stuff. I'm tired of all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And so I started working on it and developing skills. And, fast forward, now I'm a master creator, bro. I've been able to create the life of my dreams that the guy 10 years ago, the life that guy dreamed of, I'm living now. Now my dreams have gotten bigger, so I'm not done at all.
Yeah.
But the guy 10 years ago dreamt about the life I have right now, bro. And I was able to create that, thankfully, just by asking a lot of questions and doing a lot of homework and figuring out who I am and whose I am and networking with the right people and doing the research, putting in the work, taking action, And then over time, you look around and you're like, holy crap, man, my life's freaking amazing. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Dude, I got an 8,500 square foot house, 10 acres of land. I'm flying around on the freaking jets with my freaking mentor. Like, what the heck, man? I got 8 beautiful kids. I got an amazing freaking wife. Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
It's incredible, bro. It's incredible.
Congratulations. That's friggin' awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. But what's in me is in everybody else. Everybody that's listening to this right now can do the exact same thing, dude. Like it's in every single one of us. We all have the ability to create. It wasn't just handed out like, okay, you can create it. You can create it. You can create. No, all y'all, every single one of you. The existence you currently walk in is the one you created. And the sooner you accept your responsibility for that, the sooner you can change it.
You know what it takes, though? You know what it takes, right?
What's that?
It takes action, bro.
Oh yeah, of course, man.
It takes action. It takes a lot of action.
Work,
right? And that's the thing. I think that's the thing. And we were talking about this morning a little bit. Right now, you're out in Scottsdale. You just got done with a 3-day event. Tell us again, what'd you learn from that event over the last 3 days? What was your biggest takeaway?
Hey, man, all kinds of things. I learned that there's way more money out there than I ever freaking imagined. No, like face of this planet. Like it's ridiculous, man. There's just so much abundance. There's no shortage of anything. No shortage of anything. But of course, obviously I learned a lot of things about multifamily housing. I learned a lot of stuff about real estate. I picked up some additional wisdom on understanding tax codes and tax laws and equity and so on and so forth. Right. But I think some of the biggest things that I learned, watching how some of these guys and gals, how they make moves, man, they're just confident. They're confident that it's going to work out. Right. They're confident. They go into it. Like I got to go, I got to go with Grant Cardone and Brandon Dawson. We looked at this 167,000 square foot building, $80 million building. And Grant looks at this building for less than 15 minutes, literally less than 15 minutes, 167,000 square foot building. He looks at the main floor. We go up in the elevator. We look at the third floor. He asks probably 15, 17 questions in that 10 to 15 minutes. And then he says, okay, great. Put an offer on it. Okay, great. Put an offer on it. Let's go. Let's put an offer on it. What are we going to offer? 67 million. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and put an offer on it. Right. And I'm thinking, he didn't even see 98% of the building, 99% of the building. Didn't he? Just a little bit of the third floor, a little bit of the main floor. It's all he needed. Right. Whereas I know myself, sometimes, like I'd be like, flipping every light switch, going into every room, look at the tile. Oh, do you see that thing over there? A little noting the thing in the corner, the panel box, and maybe there's a roof tile that's wrong over here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would normally pick something like that apart. I mean, we're talking about an $80 million investment. And in 10 to 15 minutes, he's just like, yeah, put an offer on it. Because he just knows with confidence it's going to work out. He knows with confidence that if they open up a wall and it ends up being filled with freaking mold, that they'll fix it, that it'll be okay, that it's not going to destroy his life or destroy his deal, right? He just knows. And so I think one of the biggest things I learned is we got to quit talking ourselves out of opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, we're literally looking for reasons not to do things out of fear and anxiety. We're like, well, we can't do it because of this. Oh, well, Google says this. Oh, well, or my lender says this, or my buddy said this, or we're always looking for outs, bro. Whereas these highly successful people, they don't look for outs. They look for reasons to make the deal work. Right. And they just move. So that was one of my biggest, takeaways from the whole event was just watching that guy flow for 15 minutes in that spot and seeing how decisive he is and how confident he is. Like, make the decision. We'll figure it out. Make the decision. We'll figure it out. We'll always figure it out. And that's what I hope to walk with, especially when I'm 64 years old, 20 years from now. I want to work towards that level of speed, activity, and confidence.
A lot of practice. I shouldn't say it. I'm saying I'm guessing, but I'm not really guessing. I know a lot of practice, a lot of deals, a lot of experience to be able to do that like that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it comes down to. I'm going to ask you another question that's got me curious. All right, and I want you to be humble and or maybe don't be humble in asking this question, because I think it'll benefit a lot of us, right? Because you're a humble dude. But why is Grant and Brendan picking you up and bringing you with them to look at this building?
Yeah, because I keep hanging around the basket, bro. I keep hanging around the basket. See, so Grant was talking over these last 3 days. He was telling everybody, he's like, bro, you got to be in this real estate club. He said, even if you can't afford some real estate right now, just get in the real estate club, right? Because you want to hang around the basket. Because if you hang around the basket long enough, you're bound to get a rebound. See, I've been hanging around Grant's basket for 25 years. I've been doing his trainings. I've been doing his programs. Him and I have connected from the automotive industry. And so two mornings ago, was that two? I get 2 or 3, whatever day that was. Whatever day that was, I went to the gym to work out, and Grant was in the gym, and him and I have built a relationship, over time. And so I went over to Grant and gave him a little fist bump. He had his little earpiece in, right? And I just gave him a little fist bump, said good morning. And then you know what I did, David? I walked to the other side of the gym. I walked all the way to the other side and found a Peloton machine as far away from as possible. You know why? Because everybody's always on his freaking jock, man. Everybody's always like, Grant, take a picture, do all this shit. I'm like, fist bump, I'm going to go over here, right? And so less than 10 minutes later, Grant comes walking over to the machine, and he comes and gets on the Peloton bike right next to me, right? Now I'm hanging around the rim, and we're just having a conversation. We talk for like 30 minutes, right? But it was on his terms, not my terms. I didn't try to force myself into his circle. I'm just hanging around the basket. And then when we got done riding on the Peloton, he was like, hey, these guys are picking me up. We're going to go look at a building. You want to go with me? I'm like, yeah, man, sure. Let's go. Why not? We'll hop in the Rolls, go look at this $80 million building, right? But proximity is power, bro. And so I asked Grant one time, because he flew out, surprised me and flew to one of my events in Kentucky. And I went to visit him down in Miami after, and I said, Grant, why'd you do that, man? Like, you fueled up the plane, spent $80,000 on fuel, flew from Florida, came to my event, like, why'd you do it? And well, he said 2 things. One, on the stage, he said there was only 3 people that he would do that for, and I just happened to be one of them.
Yeah, I was there.
But what he told me in private at his office is he said, Glenn, he said, bro, you're one of the only people that really gets me. He said, you just get me. Like, because I've watched him, dude. I've watched him sell CDs out of his trunk of his car. I've watched him for the last 25 years. Like, I've watched his every move for 25 years. And so I know him. I know the facade that he has. I know what he has to do for social media. I know what he has to do as a leader in his business. I know what he has to do as a leader for his family. I know all of the things, right? I know all of the things that he has to do in order to be the Grant Cardone. But more importantly than that, I know his heart, man. I know his heart. I know what the dude's thinking. And so the reason Grant chooses me in these situations is A, I hang around the basket. So and B, I've taken the time to really get to know who he is, and I respect and admire who he is. He feels that, he senses that, and I never ask him to be anything that he's not.
That's a really cool answer, man. Appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
That's good.
It's a blessing for sure. He's a good dude.
We got some of our peeps in Clubhouse. I don't know if anybody wants to ask Glenn a question. Just flash a mic. You're welcome to ask. We got Christina, who's always supporting the room. We got Dora Maria in the house. We got my friend Shantae. Any of you guys want to ask Glenn a question? Feel free. Glenn, I see what I'm holding up here, man. You remember this?
The Breakfast with Champions mug.
I still have this bad boy from New York, man.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's from the New York event. For y'all that are listening on audio, you can watch this, by the way, on YouTube. It'll be live on YouTube. But I'm holding up the Breakfast with Champions thermo cup from the New York event where we met. First time we met in person. So that was amazing. It looks like William came up. William, did you have a question for Glenn? No, maybe just can't. Maybe,
sorry, I had a little difficulty hitting my my button here. No, I just wanted to share out, David. You two are one of my five, I must say, and I absolutely love every day listening to Glenn and everybody that Glenn has attracted that have the same heart that he does and the same desire, and that's what really got my attention and why I'm here in this room and you know, you, David, and Glenn, and what I want to do, and my goal in life is, you know, pay it forward and you know, leave a legacy and enable growth, provide opportunity, lead servantly, all those things. It really helps, and love what you're doing, Glenn, is giving everybody an opportunity, you know, guys like me and guys like, you know, anybody in life. So thank you so much. I just love listening in and sharing and growing and learning. So I'm done. That I'll yield the mic.
Thank you,
Thanks,
William.
Glenn,
that's you. William Fitzgerald. He shows up every morning. He's there 5 a.m. Right. I don't know if he's early or right on time or whatever. But Glenn is military as well, so I always want to thank him for his service.
Yeah,
military. He's just a really solid guy.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate the kind words with you.
Yeah, Shantae.
I actually have a question for Glenn. So you did say that you committed suicide, and you know, obviously God had other plans. And I myself am a 2-time suicide survivor, and I didn't get that whole moment where I felt like God was speaking to me, and mine was a completely different story. But can I ask you, aside from that, is there anything else in your life that really just caused you, and I'm not quite sure how to word this, but really just inspired your mindset to change? Like, what else in your life aside from that, if any, caused your mindset to just completely shift?
Yeah, so right after that, it was Shantae. Is that right? Shantae. I can't see. Shantae. So Shantae, thank you for sharing that. And I, for one, am grateful that after 2 attempts, you're still with us, because I know you've got some work to do, girl. Right? There are people that only you will be able to connect and resonate with because of your story. And so I just want to say that first. Immediately after, for me, I did hear those words, and it caused me to want to seek to learn more, right, about myself. But with that, the very next day, as soon as I opened my eyes, right? Like I had been homeless. I don't even know how long days just run together. But as soon as I opened my eyes to the possibilities that something could be better, what ended up happening is there was a woman on the beach who was handing out Dianetics books. And this book called Dianetics, it's all about the subconscious, the active mind and the reactive mind, which other people would call this the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And so she was handing out these books. And because now my reticular activating system was dialed in on learning versus blaming, which is what I normally was doing, all of a sudden I saw this woman who was handing out these books. Now, she'd been on that beach handing out books every week for years, but I just happened to see her because all of a sudden I was looking. And so she handed me this book and told me about the active mind and the subconscious and the reactive mind. And then she asked me if I wanted to learn more. And so I got in the car with her and she took me to the Orange County Church of Scientology. And at the Orange County Church of Scientology, they ran an IQ test on me. And based on my IQ test, they asked me if I needed a job, which I did. And so they gave me a job. And then there was a woman there in the church who offered up a place to stay. And it was not just me. She had like 10 other people that were staying at this place, right? So I went from homeless and suicidal to literally the next day, getting this Dianetics book, going to this church, getting a job, and then getting a place to stay, right? She gives me a place to stay. And I spent the next 6 months studying Scientology. I shouldn't say that. I spent the next 6 months studying Dianetics. It's a long story to jump from Dianetics to Scientology, but I studied Dianetics at the Church of Scientology for 6 months. And I learned it shifted everything in my life. They were the first people to confirm for me that we actually are spiritual beings. I used to think that I was just mind and body, not mind, body, and spirit. They taught me how to communicate better, how to learn better. And most importantly, they taught me how to reprogram my reactive mind. So I had all kinds of trauma stored up in here from an abusive dad. My dad was abusive. He used to kick our ass all the time. He ran our family super militant. I used to fight all the time. I used to be angry all the time, like all of those things. Well, all of those things were stored in my reactive mind. I didn't understand. They had control over me. And this book and these studies in this church helped me to unlock that, to move it from reactive mind to active mind, to take that trauma from a place where it controlled me to a place where I had control over it. And so that was a huge part of my growth, was that 6 months. And then after 6 months of that, I decided that that particular, from the religious aspect, I didn't align with it. And so I left and I started exploring some other things. Buddhism, Catholicism, and ultimately Christianity is where I found my true spiritual journey. But those 6 months studying the Dianetics courses completely shifted how I saw myself and the world around me.
That is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Shantae. Shantae actually got like the answer that I was looking for, because it was like, how do you go from laying on the beach to, okay, next day? Like, and that's pretty wild how just you saw this woman and you get a book and now you're in a place. That's awesome. All right. As I know,
it was always there, bro.
Yeah.
She was always there. She was at that beach all the time. I could have went and talked to her any time about that dang book. They're out there. I guarantee you they're out there today. I guarantee you the Orange County Church of Scientology, 16 years later, is still out there on Mission Beach handing out Dianetics books. I guarantee it, right? I just didn't see it because I had this victim mentality. It was everybody else's fault. And so my eyes were shut that there could be, that I actually could maybe do something about my life. Right. But as soon as I hit that, you take yourself wherever you go. Now I'm looking around for opportunity. And it's the same thing, right? Grant was talking about this yesterday with real estate and stuff. He's like, bro, now that once you start to see it, You can't unsee it. You start looking for it, right? Like you start, and now your reticular activating system is going to show you that it's been around you the whole time. It's always been all around you. It's all there. We just aren't, our brain washes it out and we focus on what we choose to focus on. You decide you want to go buy a blue van because nobody has a blue van. I guarantee you're going to start seeing blue vans everywhere. Everybody's going to have a blue van all of a sudden. You're like, you know what? I'm going to get a blue van. Nobody ever has blue vans. And next thing you know, there's going to be 15 dang blue vans while you're at the street light. You're going to be like, dang, everybody's got a blue van all of a sudden. No, it's just your awareness, man. As soon as you focus and put the awareness on it, it will reveal itself because it already exists. And so that's the crazy part about that is it did change overnight, right? But the reality is I could have made that change at any point in time. It just took me hitting rock bottom and trying to take my own damn life before I finally decided that I was going to go a different way.
Final question today, Glenn, is, I think about Breakfast of Champions. I found the club at a place, during COVID. It was interesting time. At the time I wasn't waking up early. I think the first time I went in there was on a Saturday. Coincidentally, it was the meeting where you had Glenn Sanford and what's his name, and Grant was in there, and there was a bunch
Glenn
of
Sanford,
Abraham. What's his name?
Jay Abraham.
Yeah, Jay Abraham. Yeah, it was like ridiculous, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then I hear the number one car dealer in the U.S. and I'm like, this is nuts.
Brian Benstock. It was wild, man.
But and then I got interested in it, and then because I've always been, I would say I was a 6 a.m. riser, pretty early, 6:30.
Right.
It changed a lot. It changed everything for me. My life is completely different. I think different. I have different relationships. I'm in a different place since the club. So I want to thank you for that. But I mean, how important is that routine, like that, like starting your day like that? Is that?
Yeah, it's everything, man. It's literally everything. Like people hire me and they'll pay me big money, David. They'll hire me, they'll bring me in, and they're like, okay, where do we start? And I'm like, all right, first thing in the morning. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what do you do first thing in the morning? And we walk through that. I'm like, look, if you change the way you start your day, it'll change every aspect of your life. It's true for personal, and it's also true for business. Every business owner needs to look at how their company starts their day. Every single business owner. And if you are starting your day with tapping into mind, body, and spirit, right? Those three things, mind, body, spirit. You tap into those three things every single day to start your day. And it's only a matter of time, dude. I mean, it's literally everything. It's the one code. I studied, David. Man. All the successful people, all of them. Name a successful person. I've studied them, right? And what I found is the one common denominator across all of them. Some of them built their wealth in real estate. Some of them built their wealth in auto industry. Some of them built their wealth in TV or media or whatever. Some of them were artists. Some of them were designers. Some of them were geniuses, right? All these different things. There's nothing consistent across the board except for one thing. They all have a powerful morning routine. Every one of them. Now, what time they do their morning routine is different for all of them, right? Like Beyonce is known to she performs at night most of the time. So she doesn't get up till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But guess what? The first 90 minutes when she gets up, mind, body, spirit. Every single one of them. Mind, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit. And so when you ask the question, how important is it? My response is it's the most important thing that you can do for your success, for your life, for your health, for your mental health, all of those things. It's literally the most important thing you can do is have a powerful morning routine that taps into mind, body, and spirit every single day. Well,
I appreciate the distinction too. The fact that you did mention it's not always just 'cause sometimes people just say, well, you have to get up at 4 a.m. or 4:30, but it's not necessarily about that. So I'm glad you created that distinction for everybody.
Everybody's life is different, right? So say I work third shift. Say I go into work at 11 o'clock at night and I get off at 7 in the morning, right? How you going to tell me I'm supposed to be up at 4:30 catching the sunrise. Like you can't just put blanket statements on that, like that on people. People have different lifestyles, right? But the one blanket we can put out there is that first 60 to 90 minutes better be yours if you really want to reach super high levels of success.
Yesterday, my 5-year-old got up. Well, she was up already. She was her first day of school. She couldn't sleep. So she was up when I got up at 4:45, and she did meditation with me. And then we did our journal together, and it was awesome.
That
Super
is awesome.
cool. Yeah, that was
That's
super
incredible,
cool.
man.
All right. Most people are listening to this on podcast on audio. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Glenn?
The best thing is people should download my Morning 5 ebook, themorning5.com. They should download the ebook. It covers what you and I were just talking about, morning routines, the importance of them, and it breaks down 5 simple steps to an extraordinary life. But I think that's a great way for us to first connect. I love to give information, and you can read it, and it tells a little bit about my story and so on and so forth. It's free. You can just download it for free at themorning5.com. And then if you like it or it resonates with you or I resonate with you, then of course, let's follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and all the places. It's just my name, Glenn Lundy. But I'd love to start with giving you a gift. So go download the free ebook, themorning5.com.
All right, bro. Well, listen, I just want to thank you for doing this. Appreciate you as always.
Of course.
And I appreciate you, giving up your phone, because I know what I said. Could you put your phone somewhere else? You looked at me like you're going to kill me. So thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for that, man. Appreciate you. And listen, Clubhouse, right? Everybody, Clubhouse, you got to make sure you follow Glenn and Breakfast with Champions Club. I call it home base. I mean,
That's it.
It's home base on Clubhouse, a positive space, man. So I appreciate you. Humbly appreciate you letting me have access to the club, and man, just you've been an awesome, inspiring, motivating person that I met on that app, and thank you. I just want to thank you.
Thank you, David, man. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking action and changing your life, bro. Keep up the good work. You're making a difference.
Amen, brother. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Man.
All right,
I'll see you.
thanks. Bye.